And in this video, we're going to talk about the alpha widow. What is an alpha widow? And what do you do about an alpha widow? Look, I'm going to tell you guys something right now. If you're in a relationship and you even suspect that your girl has an alpha widow after I explain to you guys what it is, just break up with her, because there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do about alpha widow. Okay? And here's why. By the very definition of what an alpha widow was, if you could do something about it, guys, he wouldn't exist. He wouldn't exist. Because put simply, what an alpha widow is a man who was completely out of the woman's league, but dealt with her anyway. And it deluded her into believing that she's entitled to that caliber of man or that man in general. Now, because women are scientifically hypergamous, this is science, guys. Okay, they always want to pick the best man or do the best that they can do. Once she deals with a high level man, okay, she can never deal with a low-level man. Now, I know some people will say, well, I know some girls who dated this type of dude, then they downgraded with that type of dude. No, what happened was they dated this type of dude and couldn't keep him, and then they got with the beta male because that's what they could keep, and they kept messing with those types of dudes or that particular dude behind the beta male's back. That's what happened. But she never gave that dude up. See, this is the alpha widow. The alpha widow is... especially in our generation, this happens a lot because of social media. And all right, so back in the day, in the 90s, I kind of said this before, but it's relevant to this convo. In the 90s, you were kind of limited to your city and your block. So if you lived, for example, on the east side of your town, you had all the girls who lived on the east side. You might get a couple from the west or the south or the north, but even that was rare. Generally, you dealt with the girls on the east side, and you knew once you started to get a little bit too passed around, and that made sense to slow down because you didn't want to get a name. Now, because of social media, you got, like I said before, girls, RJ Barrett flying in to blow they back out, Kyler Murray flying in to blow they back out, Michael B. Jordan flying in to blow they have access to all these different types of guys, right? Now, you gotta understand how women's brains work. In their head, if they can get hit by a dude, then they have access to the dude. They don't understand that a relationship is access. They think that the sex is access. So you gotta understand that about how women's brains work, okay? So with that being said, this is what happens. A dude who's like a 10, his body's ripped. He got a 9-inch long or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's a handsome dude. He's got a full beard, a good job. He comes from a good family, right? He dates this girl. She may be like a 6 or a 7, right? But she has a fat butt. Or she's like a 6 or a 7, but she was the chair captain. Or she's like a 6 or a 7, but he had low self-esteem at the time. Whatever the reason is, she's significantly lower in value than him. Not just in the sexual market value, right? Not only is his sexual market value higher than her, but he comes from a better family than her. He has more money than her. He's better than her in general. Which is why I tell you guys all the time, for a relationship to work, you have to be. Because you can only be the priority when you're the one who's better. And she can only be happy when you're better than her. And her focus is on making you happy because you can be happy. You can achieve happiness. But anyway, going back to the alpha widow. So what happens is she dates this guy, and it's usually young. I'm going to let you guys know that right now. It's usually young. So it's usually at the peak of her sexual market value. Even if she is only a 6 or a 7, it's still her peak. Or she might be an 8 or 9 or 10 because they can get alpha widow too, especially by dudes with a lot of money. But the point is, she was at her peak, so she's not up from what she was. She's either the same or she's lower, you know what I'm saying? But this guy, he's still up. So what happens is, he doesn't take her serious, or he dogs her out, you know what I'm saying? He treats her like a slut, or he dates her but then breaks up with her because she can't keep up, or he doesn't think she's good enough, right? She's permanently scarred by this guy because she subconsciously seeks out other men who are like this guy, who seem like they have as much money, who seem like they have as much swag, who seem like they're built kind of the same way. Obviously, she wouldn't know about the shalong or whatever until she got to that point, but it's just that whole presence. She's trying to recreate that whole presence. So if she can't find a man who's that ripped with that much money, you know, that much stuff going on, what happens is two things. She either makes that man miserable by constantly trying to make him like that man. That's when she'll start telling you to do different things. Why don't you grow a beard? Why don't you start lifting more weights? Why don't you start, I don't know, working 3 different jobs or something like that? Like, she might start suggesting different things to you. And yeah, you might just be like, you know, yeah, baby, you know, it's whatever. It's no biggie. But you don't know if she's telling you to do all this stuff because she's trying to turn you into the guy that she really wants. And the reason why I said, if you get any suspect that your woman has an alpha widow, okay, to just cut her off in general, is because if you were better than him, he wouldn't exist. He wouldn't exist. If you were better than him, she wouldn't talk to him no more. She wouldn't deal with him no more. She wouldn't be thinking about him, and she wouldn't be trying to turn you into him. She wouldn't be trying to tell you to work the job he worked, or try to get the physique that he got, or try to make yourself look like he looked. She wouldn't tell you to do all of that if you were better than that guy. Okay, she wouldn't be sneaking and talking to him while y'all in a relationship and she thought that you was better than that guy. So what's going to happen is you're going to be there and he's going to be there the whole time. You're paying for it and he's hitting it for free behind your back the whole time. The whole time. Now, it's kind of hard to spot alpha widows because I'm going to tell you right now about women. They always lie about their alpha widows. They always lie. They'll say they blocked them. They didn't. They'll say he's just a friend. He's not. How do I know all this stuff? I've alpha widowed a few girls. I've heard girls tell dudes, I even slept with him. We never did anything. They knew that was a lie. Right? But they didn't want that friend. They knew if they told their boyfriend we messed around, he was going to say he didn't want her hanging with me anymore. And she didn't want to cut me off because even though I was never going to pick her, in her head, just the fact that I'm still hanging around, I'll still talk to her, I'll still deal with her from time to time, makes her hold out hope that maybe this man will pick me. And he's the best that I can do. So she's not going to tell the new man anything about that because then the new man is going to try to get me out the paint, which she doesn't want to happen because I'm better than the new man is. So, put simply, guys, because I don't like for these videos to get too long, the alpha widow is the best man she ever had overall. Everything. Like, the sex was great. The conversations was great. The physique was great. The look was great. The swag was great. Guys, for an alpha widow, a girl is so happy to deal with an alpha widow. She'll deal with you when you have a girlfriend. Again, I know this from experience. She'll deal with you when you have a girlfriend. She doesn't care. She'll deal with you when she has a boyfriend. She doesn't care because she's all about you. Basically, a woman will fully submit to an alpha widow. To whoever her alpha widow is. She'll fully submit at any time. It does not matter if she has a boyfriend or not. Again, it does not matter because if you were better, that guy would be you. That guy would be you. If you're in a relationship right now and you're struggling to get top, it's probably because she's topping her alpha widow still. If you're in a relationship right now and you're struggling to get sex, it's probably because she's sexing her alpha widow still. If you're in a relationship right now and she's always asking you to change something, especially if it's physical, you know, like your style, your physique, your hair, stuff like that, it's probably because she has an alpha widow. This is honest, guys. If she's starting arguments for no reason, it's probably because she has an alpha widow. If you see her texting the guy, you tell her to cut him off, and she won't do it, or she makes up something, it's probably the alpha widow. It's probably the alpha widow. Now, it could be other things. It could be soul ties. They might have had an abortion together or something like that, which we'll get into at another time. But most of the time, it's simply the alpha widow. So that's what the alpha widow is, guys. It's, like I said, the highest that a girl could do, and it's usually someone out of her league who she never really had any business dealing with anyway, and now she had this delusional idea that she can get this kind of man, or at least that she can get that man, and now in her head, if she doesn't do that, she didn't do her best, so she can't be happy with anything else, which is why I said, guys, if you feel like you're in this situation, you gotta break up with her, because she can never be happy with you, and what'll happen is she'll eventually start to resent you for not being him. As crazy as that sounds, but that's what will eventually happen. So that's what an alpha widow is, the short take, and that's why you shouldn't deal with a girl who you suspect may have one. I'm Alex, and I'm out. Peace.